The Point Vicente Lighthouse, with its trademark white cylindrical tower, was built in 1926 and marks the southwesterly point of the Palos Verdes Peninsula. The U.S. Lighthouse Service had placed it in operation due to petitions from shipmasters which feared the dangerous stretch of coastal water. The tower was built on 8 acres deeded to the U.S. Lighthouse Service by the U.S. Army. After the light was completed, it was the brightest beacon in Southern California. It is known today as Point Vicente, but over 200 years ago, Captain George Vancouver named the area Point Vicente after his good friend Friar Vicente of the Mission Buenaventura. In the early 1930s, the Pacific Geographical Society renamed the light Point Vicente, and in 1939, the U.S. Coast Guard took over the lighthouse operation. To the mariner, the Point Vicente Lighthouse serves as an aid to navigation, with its placement on the northern end of the Catalina Channel. The powerful Fresnel lighthouse lens was made in France in 1886 and is named after its inventor, French physicist Augustin Fresnel. The lens projects the 1,000-watt bulb 24 miles out past Catalina to help ships safely enter the Port of Los Angeles harbor. As with all lighthouses, the Point Vicente light has its own characteristic flash. It rotates once every 40 seconds, is double-sided, and has 2 bullseyes, so the mariner sees it flash 2 times every 20 seconds. This helps the mariners to identify the point, plot their positions, and avoid the nearby rocky shore. During World War II, the 1,000-watt light was replaced by a dim 25-watt bulb, and blackout curtains covered the windows. The coast artillerymen did not want the light to aid enemy navigation. After the war, the 1,000-watt bulb was reinstalled. The Point Vicente light continues to send out its beacon across the Catalina Channel, but the lighthouse keeper has been replaced by an automatic foghorn and electronic sensors that activate the light. The automatic foghorn is activated when visibility is less than 3 miles. When this happens, the foghorn blows every 30 seconds. The grounds at Point Vicente are much the way they were in 1926 when the light was built, but the housing facility is now home to the Coast Guard personnel. And the old foghorn building that once contained the big engine compressor that blew the fog signal has been turned into a small museum. The building, where the lighthouse keeper would stand watch, is now a radio center manned by volunteer civilians who are members of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Their responsibility is to track distress calls from boaters in the Catalina Channel. The Point Vicente Lighthouse and the small museum are open to the public the second Saturday of every month, except in March, when it is open on the first Saturday of the month for the annual Whale of a Day celebration, co-sponsored by the city of Rancho Palos Verdes and Los Serenos de Point Vicente. For recorded information on visiting hours for the Point Vicente Lighthouse, call 310-541-0334.
Passing by, the residents of the Palos Verdes Peninsula have grown accustomed to the sight of the Point Vicente Lighthouse, standing right off the face of our cliffs and looking out into the sea. The tall white body has become largely famous as one of the many jewels of Palos Verdes, and even that of the South Bay, and was declared a local landmark in November of 1979 by the Ranchos de los Palos Verdes Historical Society. But what most don't know are the true stories and histories of lighthouses, or the mysteries it has come to produce in the local area. There are 2 main purposes of a lighthouse, both directly relating to those navigating at sea. First is safety. Its powerful lens serves as a beacon of warning to mariners and their ships sailing close to land, averting them away from the coastline. The light that the tower emits must be able to stretch from miles on end and is required to be clearly visible during the day or in the black of night. Each lighthouse is also equipped with a foghorn, which is turned on whenever the fog is too thick to see the light out in the ocean. The second main purpose pertains to those located near the mouths of harbors. For both purposes, the lighthouse must be positioned at a location high above sea level, where sailors and their ships can easily see the beam. An alternative to this is on a small island right off the coast. Usually elevated by a small hill or rocks, the lighthouse can then be closer to the harbor entrance or dangerous areas where it is used as a landmark to easily guide ships of all sizes correctly into the area. The concept of the lighthouse is nothing new. Ever since the first ship was built and men began to sail the seas, they have deemed it necessary to construct beacons of warning or name landmarks to help lead seafarers to land safely. The first lighthouse on record was located on the island of the Pharaohs in ancient Egypt, later to become one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Soon after, Ptolemy issued the building of the Pharaoh's Light, notably one of the most famous Egyptian projects ever built in direct relation to the sea. The Pharaoh's Light was the largest tower of its time and was used for ferrying ships of Egyptian grain and soldiers for war. As the Egyptians had no electricity, the Pharaoh's Light cleverly produced one of the earliest forms of an effective signal in history. A massive fire was to be lit atop the tower at night, and a large circular mirror to reflect sunlight during the day. Over the centuries, this basic template for lighthouses has been modified and advanced by seafaring countries all over the world, such as in Greece. On any given day, a passerby can look onto the Point Vicente Lighthouse and think nothing abnormal of it. They would see its tall white body gleaming in the sun, set within a picturesque scene before the ocean and surrounded by a small cluster of local palm trees. But aside from local admiration, the Point Vicente Lighthouse has had many tales and untold backstories that lie beneath it. One such aspect leans towards a spookier rumor, and one unknown to most of the public. For security reasons, during World War II, the 1,000-watt bulb was replaced with a 25-watt bulb. After the war, the light was restored to its original intensity. Unfortunately, the power of the light became a bother to the residents whose homes it affected during the night. To assess the situation, the inside windows facing the land were given a coat of white paint. As the residents of Palos Verdes know, as well as anyone else living off the coast, early mornings and nights are often settled with a dense layer of fog. Rolling in from the ocean, the fog becomes so thick that seeing to the other side of the street even becomes difficult. It is here, when the fog is most heavy and the night is turning in, that some have claimed to see a ghost haunting the lighthouse. As the powerful light would rotate round and round, to watchers it seemed that a woman in a flowing gown paced the catwalk around the tower. The ghost-like figure came to be called the Lady of the Light. Never in clear view, but often appearing as an apparition or shadow, many different stories have been told of her reasons for staying close to the tower. Some say she is the ghost of the first lighthouse keeper's wife, and that one foggy night she stumbled off the edge of a cliff. Others say the ghost waits the return of a lover lost at sea. The U.S. Coast Guard, who now occupies and maintains the lighthouse, has a more scientific explanation. According to the U.S. Coast Guard publication, the ghost appeared whenever the light passed through the painted surface of the inward glass. Creating a strange reflection, the bulb would send an arc of light forming what seemed to be a hazy outline of a woman. In 1995, the room containing the lens received a thicker layer of paint, which ended the spirit's stroll around the catwalk. Despite the varied explanations for the Lady of the Light, the lighthouse has captured the attention of psychics and ghost hunters, drawing them to our coastline in hopes of getting a glimpse at the famous ghost.